What's up guys, in this video, I'm showing you my super easy smoked pulled pork recipe. This is pork butt, or more commonly known I guess as pork shoulder, and it is fantastic. That's good stuff. For the shoulder roast Boston butt bone-in, I'm gonna keep things very simple. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna rinse this piece of meat in some running cold water and pat it dry with paper towels. So after you've rinsed the meat in some cold water, I'm just gonna give it a good dry with paper towels. And I always like to use the Boston butt or the pork shoulder with the bone in. I just think you get better flavor with the bone in. So when you're looking at the grocery store, that's what I would opt for. All right, after we've got it rinsed and dried, we're only gonna use two things to season this piece of meat. We're gonna use yellow mustard, and one of my favorites, this is the Plowboys Yardbird Rub. This is one of my favorite rubs for this piece of meat. So very simply, we're just gonna put a little bit of mustard all over the outside of this piece of meat. So I'm just putting a few drops around the meat. We're gonna rub that mustard in all around all the four sides. Now that we've got the mustard rubbed in, we're gonna season very generously with our Plowboys rub. Because remember, this is a really thick piece of meat. So we're gonna wanna make sure that seasoning gets in there nice and deep. Sprinkle it on all sides. Like I said, don't be shy. And get the rest of that that's stuck there on the plate. There we go. Now we've got our piece of meat rubbed. That's all we're using for this piece of meat. I'm gonna lay out some saran wrap here. And I just try to wrap this meat as tight as possible. Now that we've got that wrapped nice and tight, I'm gonna stick this in the fridge overnight. All right, so we've let this kind of season overnight in the fridge, and now it is time to get the Traeger started. So let's go outside. I'm gonna be using just a normal hickory blend for this. I'm gonna let that get started and heat up. Yummy. Like always, once the white smoke goes away, then we are good to go. All right, so our white smoke has gone away. So now we are ready to put the pork on. Just plop it right there in the middle. And we're just leaving this right here on the smoke setting. And we're gonna cook this for about 4 to 5 hours on the smoke setting, and we're gonna spray it after about 2 hours every hour. All right, we've been smoking for 3 hours now. So what I did was I put my remote thermometer probe in, and I've also turned up the temperature. I set it to 225. So it'll start to stabilize there. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to start to spritz. So this is just a mix of apple cider. You could also put in a little bit of apple cider vinegar with that if you want to, like a couple tablespoons, but this is just pure apple cider. Now, I will say, this squirt bottle is so money. I'll throw a link to this squirt bottle below because I've used other cheap ghetto squirt bottles from like the grocery store, and they were awful. I absolutely hated them. So I got this one from Amazon, like a 2-pack, and this spray is amazing. So like, check this out. Like, it's sprays so nicely. So I'm just gonna give it a nice good spritz. And I'm gonna do that about every 45 minutes to an hour. So you can see our temperature is right around 170. You're gonna notice once you hit around 160, 165, that's when you're gonna hit the stall. So at this point you have a couple options. Depending on what time of the day it is and when you need the food to be done, you could take it off at this point and wrap it in foil, wrap it in butcher paper, turn up the heat, put it on and cook it until it reaches, you know, the done temperature of 200 to 205. But for our purposes, it's 4:45 right now. I'm probably not going to eat this until 8 p.m. So I might just power through this 174 stall without foiling it. I'll keep an eye on it for the next hour or so, maybe 2 hours. And if we're getting up closer to, you know, 190, 185, 190, then I'll probably leave it. If we're still stuck around 174 after, you know, an hour, 2 hours, then I'll probably do butcher paper for the last hour or so, just to make sure that we're up to 200 degrees by the time we're ready to eat dinner. So it really just depends on, you know, what your preference is as far as like how much time you have and when you want to have the meat finished, whether or not you foil. So because of time, I foiled this to get it up to 204 degrees. Anywhere between 200 and 205 is a good place to pull it. So I'm pulling it at 204. It has been resting for a little bit because I was a little busy, but let's take a look at it. Looking pretty solid. Now, what you can do after foiling it, if you want that bark to tighten up, is you can throw it back on the smoker. Just turn the smoker up to like, you know, 300 or something, put it back on for a few minutes to tighten up that bark again. But I think for time's sake, we're just gonna roll with this. So all I'm doing right now is I'm transferring it to one of these pans so I can shred it. Now there is a little string right here that we need to cut. Maybe I can just pull it off actually. Oh yeah, there we go. Pull that off. I'm gonna use my little bear claws here to kind of start to shred. Now that should shred pretty easily. Now I probably would have put this back on just for a few minutes to tighten up and pull that bone out. Look at that bone come off clean. To tighten up the bark, but like I said, just for time's sake, we're just gonna go with this for now. So I'm gonna shred this up, get it into some smaller, manageable pieces. Now that we've got that shredded how we like it, I'm gonna go ahead and put on some Stubbs. This is sticky sweet, one of my favorite barbecue sauces. I'm just gonna drizzle that in there very generously. And I'll just kind of give this a little toss till we coat it all. Now is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go throw this back in the smoker on high for a few minutes just to kind of heat up and caramelize that barbecue sauce. I'm gonna take this outside, put this back on there. All right, so I just took the pork off the grill to let that barbecue sauce kind of set in. So this is what we got here, and it is looking fantastic. Even Remy's wanting some, huh, Remy? You can see their nice bark. You're getting the smoke ring. That's some good pulled pork right there. So from start to finish, this cook was about 12 hours. I started at 9 o'clock, finished right around here around 9 o'clock. A few things that I would have done differently, I guess more for the sake of time, kind of whatever fits your schedule, is I foiled right around 175, 180 degrees for the last 2 hours. I probably could have foiled a little bit sooner than that to get the food done a little bit sooner. But like I said, do whatever fits your schedule best. So if you need to foil, turn up the heat just a little bit. The most important thing is you want to try to cook it low and slow. So if you can get it on that low setting, smoke setting, 225 for, you know, 5 or 6 hours, then you're probably pretty good from there to foil however you need to. You can turn it up, you know, 275, 300 to get through and finish the cook. But other than that, it turned out great. Like I said, bone-in Boston butt is one of the best, my most preferred pork cuts for pulled pork. You're gonna get a really nice bark, you're gonna get a nice pink smoke ring, and it's delicious. I don't know if you can hear Remington. Remy, Remy, come. Do you want some pork? Do you want some food? You want some food, huh? If you guys have any other types of meat that you want to see me cook on the Traeger smoked, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to do some more smoking videos for smoking meats, ribs, steak, brisket, whatever you guys want. Leave a comment below this video and I'd be happy to do some more videos for you. Like I said, guys, this is bone-in pork Boston butt or pork shoulder for pulled pork. There's a lot of ways to cook it. Probably maybe do a couple other videos explaining some different ways to do this same cut of meat, or maybe a different type of pulled pork. Once again, guys, I'm Andy. You're watching Learn How. We'll see you in the next video.